What's up and welcome to another episode of Gizmo Slip Tech. Today we're talking about the new RTX 2080 and 2080 Ti. The 2070 still is not out. Now the 2080 Ti was delayed. I've got my 2080 on the way. That said, some of the reviewers had the 2080 and 2080 Ti in the mail already about a week ago. They've been doing benchmarks on them. They had just released these videos today. So that means we have the exact representation of whether the 2080 and 2080 Ti are worth buying. Now this is not going to be a thorough in-depth review. Instead, this is going to be a brief overview, a summarization of what other reviewers are finding. I'll have links in the video description down below if you want to check out some really detailed, thorough reviews. So how does the 2080 and 2080 Ti stack up against the 1080 Ti? Well, the GTX 1080 Ti matches the performance of the 2080 almost exactly. It goes up and down depending on which title you're using, but you can see here in 3D Mark they have nearly identical scores with only a few hundred points difference. And the more expensive 2080 Ti varies in performance gains from 22% up to about 31% in the best case scenario. All that said, DLSS and RTX is not in any of these titles that have been tested so far. So long story short, we're looking at the 1080 Ti being cheaper than the 2080 and having just as good a performance. And then we're looking at the 1080 Ti being significantly cheaper than the 2080 Ti and only being a 22 to 31% performance difference. It's really probably not worth picking up unless you've got some money to burn or you really care about having the maximum possible graphics performance. Better to pick up a 1080 Ti for several $100s less. Traditionally, Nvidia keeps the highest end cards at the same price year after year. When they release the new version, they bump down the price of the existing models. Unfortunately, that's not the case this year. They just ramped up the price above it and then only did a small performance increase. And of course, the reason they can do that is because they have a monopoly on the highest end graphics performance right now. AMD is just not competing at the very highest end. And until AMD competes, Nvidia is just going to be able to bully us consumers into paying that premium dollar for the ultimate level of performance. And that's just the way it is. We can complain about it, but in the end, people who have money are going to buy them anyway. And of course, Nvidia knows that they're going to be able to keep selling the cheaper end models to people with more limited budgets, like $500-600. They're going to get a 2070 or maybe a 1080. Overall, I got to say, I'm a little bit disappointed in Nvidia's launch this year. I thought it was going to have better overall performance. I mean, 22 to 30% was the minimum performance gain that I was expecting. So at least it hit that minimum, but unfortunately it didn't surpass it, at least not yet. Maybe we'll see that with RTX and DLSS in the near future. For your average consumer, my recommendation is not to buy the 2080 Ti. Instead, to get a 1080 Ti used or a GTX 1080 or maybe the 2070 when that comes out, depending on how the benchmarks line up. So that's my take on the RTX 2080 Ti 2080 and whether it's worth buying versus a GTX 1080 Ti. I'd love to hear what you think about this. Which of these three cards will you be purchasing or using in the next year or two? If you enjoyed this video, smash that like button. And if you want to see more videos on laptops, graphics cards, and smartphones, hit that subscribe button and tap that notification bell. We'll see you guys in the next one. Brandon out.